If there's one game in the Resident Evil franchise that deserves more recognition, it is Resident Evil Revelations. Far from being just a spin-off, it delivers an experience that masterfully balances horror, suspense, and the action that the series has embraced over the years. But does it truly hold up among the franchise's classics? Well, let's dive in. From the very beginning, Revelations stands out by placing players in a claustrophobic and isolated environment, the Queen Zenobia cruise ship. Unlike the zombie-infested cities or decaying villages of other titles, the threat here comes from confinement, the lack of escape, and a constant sense of vulnerability. This setting is a brilliant move, bringing back vibes reminiscent of the mansion of the original Resident Evil. Capcom did an impeccable job designing interconnected levels with narrow corridors, jammed doors, and dark rooms that encourage careful exploration. The horror here isn't just about the enemies, it's the constant tension of not knowing what's around the next corner. Now, talking about the plot, Jill Valentine and Parker Luciani are sent to investigate the disappearance of Chris Redfield and Jessica Sherwood, only to find themselves trapped aboard the Queen Zenobia, a ship filled with bioorganic horrors. The story unfolds episodically, much like a TV series, with twists and flashbacks that piece together the mystery. The introduction of a new terrorist organization, Veltro, and its bioterror threats adds intriguing layers to the narrative. Unlike some games in the franchise where the plot is merely an excuse to blow up monsters, Revelation attempts and succeeds at developing characters and delivering an engaging story. Some cliches are still present, sure, but the pacing keeps you hooked for the next chapter. Now let's talk about the gameplay. The gameplay is one of the game's biggest triumphs. It blends classic survival horror elements such as ammo management and backtracking with responsive combat, striking a well-balanced experience. The Genesis Scanner, a device that allows players to scan the environment for supplies and secrets, adds a strategic layer and encourages careful exploration. The enemies, known as Ooze, may look different from traditional zombies, but they deliver the same brand of horror. Erratic movements, sudden appearances, and the need to manage every bullet. Some boss fights are genuinely nerve-wracking, especially since ammo isn't always on your side. Now let's talk graphics. You see, originally released on the Nintendo 3DS, Revelations impressed with its detailed visuals on a small console. When remastered for other platforms, the game received upgraded textures, more realistic lighting effects, and even more suspenseful atmosphere. The art direction is one of the game's strongest points. The Queen Zenobia's corridors are meticulously designed to evoke fear and isolation. Dim light and ambient sounds enhance the immersion, making every step a tense experience. Now, beyond the main campaign, the game features a raid mode, and let me tell you right now, I've played the raid mode for more time than I can possibly remember. I must have invested hundreds of hours in the raid mode, both in Revelations 1 and Revelations 2. Because you see, what happens here is, it's a very addictive addition. It sounded weird, but it's an addictive addition that pits players against waves of enemies in a progressive series of challenges. Here, you can upgrade your weapons, unlock characters, and test your skills in increasingly difficult battles. It's like an RPG mode of sorts. This game significantly extends the game's longevity, especially for those who enjoy cooperative challenges. Now, before we get to the final verdict, let me ask you something. Do you enjoy this style of game analysis? If so, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you don't miss upcoming videos. Also, drop a comment below what's your favorite Resident Evil game. Now, let's wrap up this review. So, what's the final verdict? Resident Evil Revelations is a must-play for any franchise fan. It successfully brings back classic horror while modernizing gameplay and delivering an engaging story. The Queen Zenobia becomes one of the series' most memorable settings, and the mix of suspense, exploration, and combat makes the experience unforgettable. If you haven't played it yet, Revelations is an excellent entry point to understand why this franchise remains one of the most iconic in horror gaming.